scenario is not a chart, it's a rule. CMS just finalized a change that strips, hang on to your pants, 11 measures out of the Medicare Advantage and Part D star ratings. So if your quality and risk strategy has been leaning on these measurements, this set, you're going to want to stay tuned so that you know what exactly is going on. So here's the latest in the headlines. For the contract year 2027 Medicare Advantage Part D final rule, CMS is removing 11 measures from the star ratings program. CMS's own language is specific. They're cutting measures focused on administrative processes and areas where beneficiaries cannot distinguish performance between plans due to high performance and little variation. So in other words, measures where almost every plan scores about the same. So the measure isn't actually separating good performance from bad. The rule was published in the Federal Register on April 6, 2026 at 91 FR 17384. Before this change, the system could rate an MAPD contract on up to 43 measures. So that's the number that's about to shrink. But before you go and do anything to your 2027 plan, you should know that there is a little bit of relief. Despite the CY 2027 label on this rule, nothing in it is touching the 2027 star ratings measure set. The earliest measure removal actually shows up is the 2028 star ratings, and the bulk of the changes land within 2029. So the only thing that hits the 2027 star ratings is a decision about the equity reward. And I'm going to walk through that in a minute, but this is typical CMS. They do tend to push these changes out a couple years and let people adjust. So if you are building your 2027 improvement plan right now, you are working with the measure set you already have. So nothing in the rule is forcing you to redo that plan today. Now, here's how the timing actually works out. You may want to take a screenshot here. There's 3 removals that take effect first. That's the call center foreign language interpreter and the TTY availability. These are both Part C and Part D, and statin therapy for patients with cardiovascular disease, Part C. So those come out starting with the 2026 measurement year, which feeds into the 2028 star ratings. So everything else waits a year. The remaining removals, appeals, timeliness, appeals review, special needs plan care management, complaints about the health or drug plan, members choosing to leave the plan, Medicare plan finder price accuracy, and the 2 Part C CAPS measures, customer service rating of healthcare quality, all take effect with the 2027 measurement year. And this feeds the 2029 star ratings. Now that same measurement year is also when one addition lands, and that's the new Part C depression screening and the follow-up measure. So long story short, you've got measurement year 2026 to build and test the workflow before it counts. So there's another tiny piece of good news buried in there. CMS originally proposed removing 12 measures, not 11. Okay. The diabetes care eye exam measure was on the original list, but it didn't make it to the final cut for removal. CMS said plainly that they are going to keep it, um, and they recognize it's important in preventing serious complications. So that there is an example of the comment process working. The stakeholders pushed back on losing a measure that was tied to a serious complication, and CMS actually listened. So if you've been tracking the proposed rule and in your mind already wrote off the eye exam performance as a dead metric, back up because it's still in the star ratings. Okay, so here's one that actually does hit the 2027 star ratings. CMS is not going to move forward with the excellent health outcomes for all reward. That's the reward that used to be called the Health Equity Index reward. And it was supposed to replace the historical reward factor starting with the 2027 star ratings, but they've officially canceled that replacement. So instead, CMS is continuing the historical reward factor, the one that's rewarded consistently high performance for all enrollees for years. If you had modeled your bonus strategy around the new equity reward showing up in 2027, you're going to want to back up on that as well. The reward structure that you have been working under is going to stay as it is. The rule also doesn't touch the weighting categories. And just really be clear with this because people do mix this up pretty often. The weight categories stand as they are. Improvement measures at 5, outcome and intermediate outcome measures at 3, experience access measures at 2, and process measures at 1. So, you know, that when they did that move, it already cut experience access and complaints from a weight of 4 down to 2, and that happened in 2025 final. So that was effective with the 2026 star ratings. So what this rule does is it subtracts measures from the caps at administrative side. When you remove measures from the denominator without changing the weights, the measures that are left, especially the weight 5 improvement measures, will represent a bigger share of your overall rating than they used to. Now, if we have any pharmacy leaders out there, this slide's for you. The 3-part D, medication adherence measures, diabetes, hypertension, and cholesterol, are getting socio-demographic status risk adjustments starting with the 2026 measurement year. So that's a substantive update. Under CMS's rule for how substantively updated measures get weighted, they start at a weight of 1 in their first year instead of their normal weight. Rule summary analysis have been reading that to mean adherence drops to a weight of 1 for 2028 star ratings before it comes back up to its usual weight of 3 for 2029. So if your pharmacy team is building out a 3-year stars roadmap or having a rate conversion with your PBM, you'll need to include that dip in your model so that it doesn't come to you as a surprise later when it's live. Now, CMS didn't finalize any changes to the cut point methodology itself. The outlier deletion approach, the resampling and clustering approach, the guardrail that limits how far a cut point can move year over year, all will stay the same. It stands as it is. So what's easy to forget is that there are two categories of measures that never did get a guardrail ceiling in the first place. Brand new or substantively updated measures in their first year and the weight 5 improvement measures. Okay, so that could be important now because the new depression screening and follow-up measure walks into the 2029 star ratings unguarded, in an unguarded position. The first year performance on that measure could move further than what you're used to. So just be aware of that. Okay, so now I'd like you to take a step back and look at what this actually does to your rating. When there are 43 measures carrying a rating, one weak performer gets diluted across the whole set. Shrink that set and pull out the administrative measures, and the clinical, pharmacy, and experience measures left standing have to absorb the difference. A single weight 3 outcome measure moving half a star now matters more than it used to. It's because there's a cost to losing those administrative measures too. Call center metrics and appeals timeliness responded to operational discipline in a way that clinical outcomes don't. So those were reliable points for a lot of plans, and unfortunately that's going away. One tracked figure puts the enrollment weighted average MAPD rating at 4.14 in 2023, and that's down to 3.98 in 2026. So that margin is already thinner than what it was. Okay, so before we close this, I want to give you something to take back to your team. These are the questions I'd bring to my own quality team. Have you recalculated your weighted measure portfolio under the 2029 measure set? In which 2 or 3 measures now carry disproportionate leverage? What share of your current rating comes from measures that are being removed? And where would the weight land instead? Is the medication adherence dip reflected in your 2028 pharmacy roadmap and your PBM conversations? And do you have a baseline for depression screening and follow-up? Because measurement year 2026 is your window to build one now before it starts getting counted. Okay, so here's your resources. Everything in the video is, this time it's sourced directly to CMS. We have the April 2026 fact sheet, the final rule itself at 91 FR 17384, plus the industry rule tracking coverage for the estimated financial and portfolio weighting figures. So the full citations are on the screen and also in the description. You can see the links there as well. And because I forgot to add that slide earlier, I just want to also state that this is not legal or compliance advice, and before you make any changes, remember that you may be watching this days, weeks, years, months down the road, and you should always go to these resources or any valid resources and confirm the current information for yourself, or reach out to your own compliance attorney. Okay, and now I want to start doing something a little new. I want to start offering you some tools to help you implement things that I tell you about if you're interested in doing so. So with this one, if you want a one-page version of everything we've just covered, you want a checklist of every measure that's leaving, when it leaves, and what, if anything's coming in its place. Please reach out to me through the contact form at helpfordocs.com and just ask me for the star ratings measured change checklist. It's free. It's built to sit next to your quality team's planning documentation. And once again, I'm Tony Appleberg Parks with Help for Docs. If this helped save you from finding out about a measure removal the hard way down the road, and you'd like to continue receiving information like this, please subscribe. And I'd love to see you in the next one. Also, please comment if you have any questions or concerns you'd like. I do read the comments. Thanks so much.